Greetings, one and all, to the most cursed, most cringiest corner of the internet. A YouTube channel content creator actively alienating everyone in both the analog and digital world. Well, welcome and good evening, you wonderful dice of all alignments. I am Lunar D8. It was a strange question, even though in the past Beato had always been the one posing it to Battler. Now that Battler had figured it out, Beato was the one asking it to him. Our roles have been completely flipped, haven't they? In the past, only you remembered and only I forgot. But this time, it's the other way around. Only I remember and only you have forgotten. Would you mind telling me what it is? Telling you would be easy. But I don't want to tell you. I'm not trying to be mean. I just want to believe in a miracle for a bit myself. A miracle? Yes, this was the single miraculous seed that Battler had left behind. If Beato could remember a certain something without being told, that would prove that Beato had truly revived, so he wouldn't tell her. It was Battler's final seed, which existed because he still couldn't abandon his hopes for Beato's revival. If you can't tell me, then I won't ask. If I have displeased you, please forgive me. Don't worry about it. I just never know when to give up. As she watched that sad smile, Beato's chest tighten. He was looking at her and seeing the old her. Yes, I must become my former self for his sake. My older sister who gets burned by spiderwebs and I who don't must become one. Surely it's more useful to him if I go on a journey to find myself now, than if I simply watch over his game. How do you feel about this game? Do you think you can win? I intend to win. I'll win, and end this eternal torture, just like Beato wanted. When it ends, what will happen to the world? Who knows? I wonder. However, that's what we wished for. So, no matter what the result is, I'll accept it. What will happen to me? Beato was uncertain. Even she was probably no more than a piece in this game. If the game ended, then would she, the one who had been born out of this game's rules, disappear? The game will probably disappear, but now I completely understand magic, so I'll be able to carry you off the game board. I think that was your wish. My wish? The rest is a secret. I'll be waiting for a miracle, for you to remember all of that on your own. After smiling bitterly for just a second, Battler laughed and told her not to worry. Apparently, it was best if she avoided talking to Battler about her previous self. Well then, I'll go check on my opponent for a bit. I can't wait to see what kind of twisted logic that idiot thinks up next. The old Battler-san did a lot of that too. My favorite one was the one from the first Twilight of the second game, when you said the culprit killed everyone by feeding them small bombs. The highlights of my dark past. Please, forget that ever happened as fast as you can. Yes, I will try. Battler became a cloud of gold butterflies and disappeared into the darkness. Beato kept bowing until he disappeared completely. To fill in his place, a single gold butterfly appeared and became Beato the Elder. Did you call for me, little sister? Yes. I want to know more about you, and I want to know what the real me is like. I want to become like that. Of course, I also want to know about my future self. Didn't we reveal everything about ourselves to each other for that purpose? However, we did not become one. I cannot understand what we must do to become our single self. What can we do to become one? I have high hopes for the trials as the power of Fur. You mean the miracle of magic given to the victors? I wonder if that magical miracle means becoming one. I will find my true form. You will fulfill Battler's wishes. Battler will be overjoyed too, so all three of us will have what we want. This is a trial, right? It means we cannot lose to the other two pairs. George-san and Shannon-san, Jessica-san and Cannon-san. I can only grasp happiness by trampling over them. The conditions apply to all of us. If one of the others succeeds in love, the other two groups, including you, will be trampled over. Why must the scales be so tilted, I wonder? Tilted? Some people will find love, others won't. In that case, you can put those two groups on a scale. However, the scales for our trial have 3 plates, and 2 must lose for 1 to win. That seems horribly skewed. Who knows? It might mean that successful love is worth 2 destroyed loves. You're too insecure, little sister. If you can't put your desire to answer to battlers' expectations before your uncertainty over what happens to the losers, you won't be able to win anything. You're right. I won't give up our victory. I don't like doing this to the others, but there will be no hard feelings between us and them. If I do lose, I'll give my strongest blessings to whichever of the lovers wins. So I'll fight with all my heart and soul, so that I have no lingering regrets. And I'll win that miracle of magic. How was it? How did the red and blue shootout over the first twilight go? We started by testing the waters. Battler seemed pretty eager too. She had just come back from a fierce fight with Battler where she had gathered information by making demands for the red text. It was the odd, familiar kind of fight reminiscent of when the red text had first appeared. Or when use of the blue text was first permitted. And the result? First, in all cases, it was the victims themselves that constructed the closed rooms. Also, those closed rooms were perfectly preserved until Krause's group broke them open. Also, it confirmed that during this period, all sorts of interference from the outside were impossible. Erica reported this proudly as though it had been a great battle, but Bern Cassell looked bored as she listened. After looking at her blankly for a second, Lambda Delta spoke her opinions frankly. Wait a second, doesn't that mean this closed room murder was perfect? What, The victims had sealed the closed rooms themselves, and the closed rooms had been preserved until Krause and the others broke them open, and no one had been inside the closed rooms except for the victims, and Krause's group, the ones who had broken the rooms open, were not the criminal culprits. In this way, she had managed to win several little red truths like these. Normally, simply collecting such vital information would have been enough. However, the Master Witch, tired with boredom, had expected a much more flashy, argument-winning victory instead of this bland result. However, this time I don't have the detective's authority, so there's a chance I messed up when examining the corpses. So, if we suppose that a drug that mimics death was used to fool my examination, you mean puru kokopoya? No, not that. It's not impossible for certain well-known drugs, such as insulin, to bring about a temporary state that mimics death. Battler did not counter that with the red truth. In other words, my blue truth worked. I think we've started a victory. To sum up Erica's report, all she had done was listen to the red truths Battler had wanted her to hear. Only the information Battler had wanted out there had been shown, and she hadn't been able to strike at any weak points. She was like a kid who had gone out shopping and then forgotten her job and only bought candy. However, this was all the players on the human side could do. Without the detective proclamation, she could only fight by collecting dull bits of information like that. However, her master had been expecting more than that sort of dull fight, so she had tried to give her report energetically to make it seem as though they were in a superior position, but no matter how much she tried, the cold expression of her master remained merciless. Your blue truth worked. If he didn't cut it down, it's probably just because it was too stupid. You call yourself a great detective with reasoning like that? I did try to examine the corpses with care. To the best of my abilities, however, I don't have the detective's authority, so we can't be certain. Wait a second, were you the one who decided not to make the detective proclamation? Didn't you say you wanted to raise the stakes to make up for your disgrace last time? But well... What's wrong? Are you saying you can't win against Battler without the detective's authority? That's not true, my master. I could easily defeat an incompetent like that even without the detective's authority. It's just the style of fighting is a little different from what I'm used to, and I haven't got the hang of it yet. As far as humans go, Erica was quite talented. Her knowledge and powers of memory and insight were ahead of the pack, and it was likely that no human was more well suited as a detective than her. However, no matter how much of an advantage she might have had over other people, that didn't matter in the witch's game. In the witch's game, it's either 0 or 100. In other words, everything is either the red truth or it isn't. If a normal human was worth a 10, her exceptional power would probably rate a 99. However, it could never be 100. Since it wasn't 100, it couldn't be absolutely certain, so it didn't count as the red truth. For example, the examination of the corpses that Eric had worried over in the fight just now. If she had performed with the detective's authority, she could have said with 100% certainty whether they were alive or dead. However, without the detective's proclamation, it was 99%. There was always a 1% chance that she made a mistake, and that overturned the foundation of the examination. Erica gained the detective's authority and had become the Witch of Truth because Bernkastel had supplemented her talent of 99 with an additional 1. Simply because Bernkastel wouldn't give her that 1, in that world of witches, Erica's 99 was treated exactly the same as 0. She couldn't even use her great assistant Lunar without a power of 100. Even working under an Erica who had lost the detective's authority, Lunar's red longsword lost its power. Lunar was also irritated that she couldn't provide full assistance. She had tried several times to convince Erica to use the detective proclamation, but Erica had stubbornly refused each time. Why not just do it and make that detective proclamation? If you do, you'll be unstoppable. Lunar could even use her red longsword and the Nox Decalogue. Why not do it if you want? No. There was no need for anyone to explain. By now it was clear that Erica hadn't abandoned the detective proclamation by her own will. When Battler reached the truth during the previous round, this game was already finished. This isn't really the 6th game. It's just a finale so that Battler can have a chance to serve as Game Master at the end. The result was already decided last game. Yeah, pretty much. The games won't continue forever, and I've lost my bet with Byrne. In this game, Battler will prove that he's reached the game's truth, and then Beato's game will be destroyed, and a big victory for the human side, and a big victory for Byrne too. Well, supposedly, but you look unsatisfied for some reason. Yeah, I'm not satisfied. I didn't want such a boring victory. The victory you did want had Beato's game board being torn to bits, and Beato's true pathetic form exposed, humiliated, and trampled on. But this victory of Battler's isn't quite like that, is it? All this about love and promises. He wants to end the game quietly and let her sleep in peace. That sort of ending would make anyone vomit. I didn't give Battler all that advice so that he could end things like that. I had his little sister turned to scrap meat behind his back. I had his parents and family killed horribly over and over and over again. That was all to spark a desire for revenge against Beato. And now what kind of ending is this? Have I won? Of course not. Battler's gotten his hands on a victory that neither you nor I can stand. I had to withstand a staggering period of boredom just to come all the way out to this backwoods territory, just so that I could see Beatrice lamely and pathetically torn to bits. I didn't come here to sip from a rotten yogurt fragment like this. Ah, your angry face is wonderful too, Byrne. I see, so this is why you wanted to straighten things out for yourself at least once at the end. It's all the fault of this moron piece. screwing up all the time in the last game. Because of you, this game board, that looked like it'd be fun for the first time in thousands of years, has all been wasted. Filth, trash, scum. My apologies, my master. I will definitely bring you a victory, so please forgive me. If you couldn't win with the detective's authority in the last game, how do you expect to defeat Battler now that he's the game master? You don't have a chance at winning even with the detective's authority, so why bother with it? True, if you can't win anyway, then the detective proclamation isn't necessary. The lack will just make your loss all the more certain. And therefore, if you manage to win in this even worse situation, that would be a miracle worthy of me. If and only if you can do that, I'll be able to forgive you. Yes, I will surely show you that miracle. Like hell you can, scum. All you can do is thoroughly expose your wretched self in a horrible punishment game, with your only weapon taken away from you, and through it all you'll still roll over playfully and beg to keep me entertained, scum. Ooh, sounds like you're having fun. Am I getting in the way? Gold butterflies gathered in the darkness and took the shape of Battler. Though he had just arrived, he seemed to know that the mood was dark. Ah, Battler! I had a look at your first Twilight. Quite impressive closed rooms. I'm sure you're even more talented than Beato. It's just a rehash of the closed rooms Beato made in the past. I'll take that as a compliment aimed at her. It seems your fight of Erica wasn't bad either. Think your serial murders will move along smoothly? Who knows? My role isn't to carry out serial murders, it's to use that process to show you closed rooms that are impossible without magic, and thereby achieve victory for the witch side and prove that I've fully understood this game. No, there's one more thing. What? To settle things with Erica after that evenly matched duel we acted out last time. Battler? Evenly matched? Bern Castell noticeably grimaced. Erica averted her eyes and hung her head timidly. I know what you'd like to say. That wasn't a draw. We should have won easily, so it counts as a loss. Hey, it's not polite to eavesdrop. Look at a mirror. It's written all over your faces. No way. Where? Hey, what's going on? If you tell me it's written in ink only morons can't see, then death, super death for you. Lambda Delta pulled out a mirror out of the thin air, then looked at it and jumped around angrily. She was apparently pretending to be stupid in her own special way. Erica? What is it? That's final. Fierce attack you and Delanor made in the last game was spectacular. Thanks. What happened to Delanor this time? Are you by yourself? No. I have been waiting here. Delanor had been standing around in reserve, hiding her presence in the dark shadows. Well, when she can't use her red longsword, Delanor is just useless scum. There's no point having her around, so she's hanging back. All I can do now is record Lady Erica's reasoning. Why won't you fight with her? Why can't you use that red longsword? Erica's reasoning and your longsword, those are strong because they work together. Delanor didn't answer. She just glanced at Bern Castell's expression for an instant. However, that glance was the same as a clear answer to Battler now. Battler fully recognized the situation. You're the one who told Erica not to use the detective proclamation. Oh, I don't know what you're talking about. This fight is between me and Erica. We're going to fight with all we've got. That way, we'll be able to accept it whether we win or lose. There's no need for a mastermind behind the scenes like you. Come now, I'm no mastermind. I'm just a theater goer trying to relieve her boredom. A theater goer is someone who sits quietly in the stands and watches. That's not what we call someone who jeers at the stage and threatens or manipulates the performers. Sorry for being an ill-mannered audience. You might not know it, but I've already paid a huge admission fee to watch this play. Sorry, but I intend to enjoy it until I get my money's worth. If you get in the way of the game's progression, I can use my authority as the Game Master to boot you out of this game. If you want to, go ahead. If you chase me out, then I'll head back with my piece, Erica. This game will be cancelled, and you won't be able to prove that you've reached the truth. A theater-goer is an observer. A truth with no observers is the same as an illusion. You need a theater-goer as a witness until Beato's game ends. Our truth only needs to pass between the two of us. If you get in the way any further, I will boot you out by force. Then you can writhe around in boredom for a few centuries until you find another way to kill time. Then go ahead and do that. Erica, this game is over. Good work. You were completely useless. You weren't able to overturn the dishonor of your loss, so as promised, I'll throw you into the worst fragment. I'll toss you into the depths of oblivion with the empty popcorn buckets. My master, I will win. I'll win no matter what. So please let me fight Battler until the end. I don't want to lose and get thrown into the depths of oblivion. Hick. You know I want to watch until the end, right? I clicked a button. But Battler says he'll toss me out. Hey, what'll you do, Lambda? Hey, well, I realize you've been irritated since last game, Burn, but calm down a bit. And Battler, don't provoke Burn so much. This kid can't control her emotions sometimes. Shut up. Who can't control her emotions? Burn Castell, who had never shown any expressions at all at one point in time, was now twisting her face in all kinds of displeased and ugly shapes. When Lambda Delta made fun of that, Burn Castell clicked her tongue and looked away. As they say, nothing can stop poison but poison. Apparently Lambda Delta was the only one who could rein Burn Castell in. Erica, you want to fight Battler. Clear your name and get Burn back into a good mood, right? Yes. Battler, you want to quickly and neatly end this final game. So that you can prove that you found the truth, right? Yeah. This is a face-off between me and Erica. I won't let anyone get in my way, but I won't let anyone get in Erica's way either. But Battler? If both of them wish to fight, then that should be respected. Leave Burn to me. I'm the only one in the world who can calm that kid when she gets in a bad mood. You're the same sort as her, but at least you can be reasoned with. You shouldn't underestimate me. I just like seeing Burn grimace. That's why I've taken a liking to this game of yours. If you think I'm easy to handle, you're apt to get burned, okay? Humph. Delanor can't use her red longsword because the detective proclamation hasn't been made. If Erica makes it, she'll regain her power right away, right? Yes. When that happens, forgive me. Erica? What? Make the detective proclamation. No. Do you really think that you can beat me as I am now without the detective's authority? I can win. Lord Battler. Lady Erica is herself a piece. She cannot disobey her master's orders. All she can do is gather the power she has and fight for survival. And Delanor, your power can't be used at all without the detective's proclamation? I need permission before unsheathing the red key. One form of that permission is the detective proclamation. Are there any other ways of getting that permission? Well, what are you saying? If you're doing this out of pity for me, that's none of your business. Quiet. You're so flimsy by yourself that it's boring. Be quiet, detective who isn't a detective. Gah. The red key is infinitely similar to the red truth. If and only if I am given a truth, I am permitted to draw my sword for items that pertain to it. What do you mean by a truth? For example, there are Lady Erica's packing tape seals. Ah, those. Lady Burnconceal had already acknowledged that the seals are equivalent to in value to the red truth. Therefore, I am permitted to draw the red key at least for truths pertaining to those seals. Those caused me a lot of trouble last time, so I had all the sticky packing tape removed from the game board this time around. A splendid move. Erica was proud to be able to call herself the detective, wasn't she? Yes. Though her only goal was to irresponsibly solve riddles, it was a matter of pride for her. Then she must really be suffering now that she can't make that proclamation. Only she could tell you that. Battler took a deep breath and hung his head and thought for a time. Erica was his enemy, but she was the player on the human side, and without her, there would be no game. It had been the same with the old Beato. Battler had one-sidedly viewed Beato as an enemy. However, though Beato had thought of him as her opponent, she hadn't considered him an enemy on a personal level. In accordance with the rules, I must fight my rival ruthlessly. However, that doesn't mean I need to hate Erica herself. I won't misunderstand Beato's game. Erica, you're free to choose not to make a detective proclamation. In that case, go and fight just with your power as a human. I've been prepared to do that from the start. However, you have talented allies, Lunar, Gertrude, and Cornelia. You aren't alone. You have allies. Yeah, but they're unreliable, powerless, and useless scum. Lunar, just like how I was supported by Virgilia and Renove in the past, Erica needs support as well. I know from repeated experience that playing for the human side is tough. Yes, I will assist her with all the power I possess. Understood. Know that it is our job. Humph, and you can't even use the red truth. Erica, I will give power not to you, but to your allies. Huh? What do you think you're doing? I'd rather die than receive your pity. 3 people, Lunar, Gertrude, and Cornelia. Erica, I'll let you use 3 rooms worth of those packing tape seals. To fully seal one room, multiple seals would be needed to cover all the doors and windows. If she had 3 seals, it would only have been possible to fully seal one room at best. So Battler was generous and limited them by room instead of by seal. Lord Battler. As the Game Master, I also acknowledge that these seals have the same effect as Red Truth. This way you'll also be able to wield the Red Longsword in a fight surrounding those, right? Yes. But are you certain? Winning against Erica when she's less than a detective is hardly a victory. If Erica's upping the stakes, then I should have the right to do the same. Phew, what a man. Aren't you lucky, Erica? Now you can use a bit of red without making the detective's proclamation and irritating your master. You'll regret this. I'll use these 3 seals and kill you, no matter what. Perfect. Come to kill me. Gah. Though it was only for 3 rooms, it was a red truth that Erica had desperately wanted. Now she finally had enough leeway to fight as she pleased. She ground her teeth as being pitied by Battler, but her tears were not those of shame. Understood. Those rooms worth the packing tape seals accepted. Regarding this matter, should we consider them as being accepted retroactively? Back when Lady Erica received the non-sticky packing tape from Mrs. Kumasawa, Erica had borrowed packing tape from Kumasawa to make seals with, however Battler had made so that those weren't sticky. If he ruled that there had never been any problems with the stickiness of the packing tape, the transition could be made smoothly. Sure, that's fine, I'll rewrite the tale. The packing tape that Erica received from Kumasawa-san late at night on the first day was sticky, but there was only enough left to use on 3 rooms. I'll apply that from here on out. Understood. Lady Erica will also retroactively adjust her movements starting before the discovery of the first twilight, and taking into account that the application of this privilege is now possible. As soon as these changes affect the progression of the game, they will be reported to the Game Master, letting you do it retroactively even though you know which rooms the crimes will occur in. That gives you a pretty big advantage. You won't have to waste tape on other rooms. It seems you've grown quite arrogant since becoming the Game Master. Isn't it fun to give out charity to your pathetic opponents? Quiet, and don't misunderstand. I'm not being arrogant or soft here. Erica, use this weapon and come at me with all you've got. Then I'll crush you with all I've got. So hold your head up high and use those three. That is all. Battler made it to leave the room with a flick of his cape. As he did, he thought he heard Erica let out a strained voice calling him to stop. What is it? If you have no business with me, I'm going. Make sure you talk with Lunar. Don't listen to those obnoxious witches, whatever they tell you. As long as I'm on the game board, I won't let them do whatever they please. Thank you. Thank you. I'll fight with all I've got. I'll come at you with all my strength, so I'll defeat you no matter what. So if you do win against me, please crush me with all your strength. Please don't leave a scrap behind. Understood. And don't you go easy on me. This is the final game. I'm playing to prove to Beato that I've reached the truth. By now, who wins and loses doesn't affect that goal. So I just want to accept you as a rival and settle this. In the game, let's suspect each other over everything as enemies. But as fellow players, let's trust each other. That's how this game is supposed to be played. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Ooh. Battler melted into the darkness and became a cloud of gold butterflies and vanished. Erica remained behind, sobbing. Ooh, just kidding. Jeez, you're a dim, stupid man.